Welcome back to Bottled Water, everybody, the podcast. Episode 2. I have got a good one for you. We have a great person sitting in the backstage right now. His name is TJ Allard. And if you don't know who that is, he produces The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Let me tell you, that show is just crazy. There is so much that goes on in The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, and we are going to talk to the man that produces it right now.
Hey,
welcome.
Thank you. I always get scared when that happens. I'm like, why? Jump in. Got me.
I'm live.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on. This is
Sure.
a great opportunity. Second episode of the podcast, and I've got the producer of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. One of them, yes.
Yes.
So how does that work? Because you watch a show and there's like 42 producers.
Yes, there is. Or yes, there are, I guess. Yeah, so the way this works, so I'm an executive producer, and I'm not involved in the day-to-day. I haven't been out there in a couple of years now. But I'm the one who kind of got it off the ground, got it started, and made it, basically brought it to TV. And so I'm not involved in the day-to-day anything of it. That's Prometheus, that's those guys. Joe Lassard, he's awesome. These guys are great. They're kicking butt with that show. And but yeah, like I am out there, I do as much PR as I can. I kind of spread the word, grassroots style, and try to make sure that the community knows we're available and people can it's accessible. It's not trying to be like, oh, we don't want to talk to the audience. No, of course we do. We want the audience. We want interaction. So
right.
And that's what I try to at least maintain that connection if I can. So
that's awesome. So what got you to think I need to do this show?
That's a great question because it's very specific actually. We were pitching shows. So the guy that I worked with Letter 10 Productions, and it's Joel Patterson, and Joel created Counting Cars. He was a showrunner for Pawn Stars on History. And Joel and I actually went to college together in upstate New York. And we both kind of started pitching shows together a few years back. And I was frustrated with a few things, like when you'd hear different pitches happen, or you'd talk to different network execs and they would ask you like, oh, that's great. Or they tell you what they're looking for. And I was drawn to the unknown stuff. I like those concepts. I mean, a lot of my previous work was real estate stuff or home construction and things like that. And Joel was, coming from cars and items. But the thing that I think frustrated me was, anytime you'd pitch a show about the unknown stuff, it was always like, well, that's not Skinwalker Ranch, or that's not Area 51.
Yeah.
And finally it was, well, heck with it. Challenge accepted. And I was like, fine, I'll figure that out. We'll figure it out. And that's how I figured like Skinwalker was the one that everyone called like the Holy Grail. No one could ever get to it. I was like, all right, watch. I'll let's see what I can do. And I did it.
Yeah, I saw a tweet. I think it was Thursday night or yesterday that Brandon tweeted out with a picture of you on the ranch with the crew. And he said that you were like hounding him for like a year, trying to get the show over a year to get the show to happen.
Yeah. So like, that's interesting because people think that he had a plan to make this show. And he had no plan. He didn't want to do it. He truly didn't want to do it. He didn't even want to be on camera. That wasn't at all. No, the first presentation reel we shot with him, we had to disguise his voice and we kept him off camera. He was like Charlie from Charlie's Angels. And he would talk into a voice box and he would sound like this. He'd say things like, team, give me an update of what's happening today. And I'm not kidding. He'll tell you. He'll clarify that.
Yeah,
he'll back it up. That's
funny because he's on like every episode. Like he goes out to the ranch, and it's really interesting the things that happen on the show. And I see how there would be skeptics who would be like, no, they planned that or they planned this. But then when you have the incident with removing the concrete lid off of the well, and then that radiation exposure, you can't fake what happened to him.
No, you can't.
I don't think any studio is ever going to go, hey, let's expose this guy to radiation real quick.
No. Mm-mm. You know, that none of this, you can't plan any of this. I mean, what you can plan is what experiments you're going to do. You can plan what storyline you're going to kind of go down, what you're going to examine, but you can't plan what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. You just, if nothing happens, then, sometimes you show nothing happening, or you just don't show any of it at all. And you use the time to show things that do happen.
Right.
So it is TV. It has to be entertaining.
Yes. It's a really interesting show. So I was watching the first season, and when the alpacas were attacked, the one that got attacked had like probably a good 18 to 21 inch laceration on its hindquarter. And I was like, because they said it was dogs, or if I'm remembering right, like a pack of dogs or something came in there. And I was like, wow, I've seen coyotes and other animals hunt before, and they don't leave long lacerations like that. So I thought it was really interesting because I was like,
Well, I mean, I know Eric was upset about it.
Yeah.
I remember being upset, like visibly upset about it. He was, he hated that happened. I don't know if, it was unfortunate that stupid camera, wasn't the right, wasn't working, or I can't remember exactly what the issue was, but it was like, we could have caught. I can't believe we can't catch this with all this tech, all this money, and you can't get an image. Come on.
Yeah, that's one of the, what do they call it? Recurring incidences. There is that cameras. It just everything seems to happen just like 2 feet off of camera, and.
I don't know what it's. What do you say? Like, how do you stop it? What do you say? What do you do? You can't. There's just, it's one of those. I feel like somebody had said it, and it's not my line, but someone was like, you can't just make it dance or something like that.
Right?
You can't just make the entity perform on contact, or you can't just make the ranch do something.
Yeah, you can't just. It's like that show Planet Earth when they do the big series every couple of years or whatever. A lot of people don't know that those cameramen are out in the woods for 3 or 6 months trying to get 10 seconds of footage.
Yeah. And
like, that's gotta be frustrating to do.
Yeah. People forget, that's a great point. Like, people forget, the camera stuff and how many man hours go into it and the real work. And what I always found funny that people they never realize it until you kind of point it out. So all of these shows where you have a host or somebody and the host is reacting to something, right? And they're like, oh my God. And there's a camera on the host, and maybe it's ghost hunting or it's, hiking or something.
Right.
And the guy's like, oh, what is that? And you're seeing his face say, what is that?
Yeah.
What you don't realize is there's a cameraman walking backward. And the cameraman, whatever's happening is happening behind the cameraman's back. So he's going backward like this, and the host is going like this. And the camera guy's like, oh my God, I'm going to die. What's behind me? What's behind me?
Right.
People don't think of that. You're like, there's a camera guy, you could, be in real danger here. So yeah, the work that it takes to get these shots is kind of amazing.
So a question that I have is, how has YouTube and kind of affected television programming?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. It's kind of killing it slowly. It's changing programming because programming is becoming a thing of the past. It's more because a consumer wants it to be everywhere and when they want it. They want it on every device and they want to pull it as opposed to push. So, there's the days of like tuning into a show at 8:00 on a Thursday. I mean, granted, there's the older generations, like people like me, like anyone over 40, basically they still kind of do that, just not as much. As tuning into that time, because everyone else wants to just say, oh, I want to watch this. I want to watch 7 episodes and 12 minutes of the 8th episode and then pause it. And then I'll pick it up another day, So the programming aspect has changed. and plus this market segmentation, there are so many options right now that you can't really, you don't have the audience that you used to have. It just changes. It's just like there'll never be, another Michael Jackson because of these reasons. Like there were 3 channels, and there was MTV, and Michael Jackson was on MTV all the time. So of course he's the biggest star. So it's just it's different, and it's changing. It's just going to continue to change.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. If you look at like Ghost Hunters, or one of the, I think that was the first one that came out, I think was Ghost Hunters years ago. And then all these other ghost hunting shows came out because Ghost Hunters was popular. Then they all came out, and then it kind of faded away. But now there's really big channels on YouTube about ghost hunting. There's one that just hit over 1 million followers. And they do like little seasons on YouTube, and it's interesting because I think if you have your own YouTube channel or you start editing videos and stuff like that, you find out how hard it is to actually do this stuff.
Absolutely. The work involved and the time.
And what brought you to UFOs?
I mean, I've always been, interested ever since I was little. I was convinced that there was something else out there. I just think that it was an opportunity and a challenge, and I didn't do it I'm not saying I just did it because of the challenge. Like I did it because I had a genuine interest, but I wanted to do it less of the woo, woo, and more science wise. And it just so happened that Brandon was doing that. And I think you're going to talk to him soon, right? I think he's
I'm trying to. He's hard to.
Yeah, he's definitely hard to nail down, man. Like, don't just persistence is the thing with him. But he was doing this regardless if there was a show or not.
Right.
So that was the key, and it just right place, right time kind of thing. Took a long time to do it and to track it down and stuff. But I mean, I tracked down anything and everything that surrounded that topic or this topic. I know I have the ins and outs of most of these. I mean, I know new stuff comes along all the time, and that's why I try to stay on it and like see where there's an opportunity maybe to do a different type of show. And I have some other stuff that we're working on now, but it's it's a great topic. I just think it's always been treated with, kind of tongue in cheek, and I think now if you can really start peeling it back and saying, hey, let's actually look into it. And if there's nothing there at certain things, there's nothing there. That's fine, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing there altogether.
Right.
So
do you think the Gillibrand Amendment in the National Defense Authorization Act forcing the Pentagon to create a UFO office is bringing awareness for the general public?
So I don't know enough about the ins and outs of it. I don't follow that. I don't follow that closely. That's a thing that a big misconception. Like I'm not, in the community. Like I don't follow a lot of that stuff.
Right.
I look for the entertainment, and it's not just in this world. Like there's other genres that I look into. But and I've said this multiple times on different podcasts and stuff where I don't think anything the government's going to do is going to at all help any of this. That's just me. I don't believe that there's any scenario in which the military, the U.S. military, the U.S. government will come out and tell its citizens that they are being, visited or interacted with, or that there's things above there are things flying above our airspace that we don't know. They will never admit that. They'll never admit a weakness. I mean, unless you can show me, and this goes, not to go too far off track, but like the China, the supersonic missile or something that they talked about. I still call BS on that we were surprised. There is no way that we were surprised. And in what world would we ever admit that we were surprised? Like,
it's kind of weird, isn't it? Like,
it's very strange. It's more of a propaganda technique. It's more of continue to create stories because you hate to say it, but stories get clicks. Clicks make money for different places.
Yep.
Why not keep throwing disinformation out there? I don't know, but so I don't know enough about the ins and outs. But if the government's creating an office, if the government's getting involved, there's nothing they do successfully.
No.
Why would another program help? Why would another office help? Like, it's not. It's just maybe I'm too cynical with it.
No, I worked for the government for over a decade, closer to 11 and a half years, and I have the exact same opinion about the effectiveness of
the lack thereof, right?
Yeah, the definite lack thereof in a lot of places.
That's how I feel, man. And I try not to make the broad generalizations on stuff, and I try not to, I don't know, like bat away any idea or claim something's not valid when it could very well be. I just don't know.
Right.
But in my experience and from what I have seen, I don't see this moving anything forward. Like, so if there's, secret information, how does it benefit them to tell us? How does it benefit to tell its citizens?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. I don't think there's a benefit because if anything, there's a lot of unknowns that could happen.
Yeah.
They've war gamed it, I'm sure. We had the scenario with what was it back in the 50s or 60s, the radio show, War of the Worlds. Right. That was a real world example of what could happen. Now, granted, it was different time. There was only radio.
Right.
But
they didn't have Twitter to just go, oh no, that's not real. Or
right.
Well, Twitter's probably going to tell you what is not real, not
right.
what is real.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Twitter's not a good use or baseline for anything.
No.
But I guess that's the only example that we have, right? That mass panic, and I mean, we have to. So whoever's war gaming, whoever's planning that has to assume that there's at least a percentage of a chance that could happen again.
And I don't know. You might not have seen the Vice article that just came out, I think yesterday. It was yesterday. UFO Twitter was blowing up about it. They were talking about examining materials from a UFO that was melting off the UFO. And that's the second 2/3 of the article. But the first part of the article is talking about the effects of the people who have come into close proximity of UFOs or UAPs, however you want to say it. And out of 100 people that had these negative effects, 25 of them died. And I was like, well, that's a big part of the story too. Because, I mean, we have this magnesium that didn't have the right amount of isotopes in it. And everyone's like, oh my God, the isotopes. And I'm going, 25 people died. Right. For being in close proximity. That's a quarter. That's statistically significant. Yeah, that could be a huge problem.
So this Vice article, so who has these materials and where are they?
Somebody in the chat's going to tell me because
I'm just saying, is it one of these agencies? Is it another UFO talking head on Twitter that has them? Is it a group that has them? Because the Vice stuff, Vice is a strange outlet. Yeah. I feel like it's part of the snake eating its tail thing. Like they read Twitter and then they take stuff from Twitter and then put it out to their audience, and then they use Twitter as a fact checker at times. Not knocking Vice. I'm just saying there's a lot of these different places that it seems like they feed off of each other.
Yeah, here we go. It's Gary Nolan at Stanford.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's okay. There you go. That's different. So I mean, you have an institution involved. That's awesome. Gary Nolan. I mean, that's a name that's recognizable and there's some credibility there from what I understand. Yeah, I mean, again, I can't talk. I don't have any expertise in that. I don't know enough of the story, but I just know that but there's some good writers. I'm not knocking Vice. I just feel like there's, you get inundated with so much information from so many different sources that it's hard to filter it anymore.
Especially now. I mean, just if you look at the way people are constantly being hit with information, just nonstop flow of either negative news. Depending on who you're looking at, you're either getting 24 hours of just negativity, constantly going to your phone, constantly going to your emails, or however you're setting it up, or watching it on TV. And I think it's messing with people.
I think you're right. I think it's been pretty, I don't know about proven, but yeah, it seems right to me. But
yeah, that's why I like watching stuff like The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, because you're not getting hit with this like constant negativity. You're doing experiments. You're going out in this place that has been known for a very long time to be a very weird and just messed up place. And you're trying to get to the bottom of it without doing the Bigelow approach of getting $22 million from the government.
Right. And then where does it go?
And then hiding all of it. And
yeah. And it's interesting you say that, because there's a lot of chatter that I have seen where, there's so many skeptics, right? There's so many different Skinwalker Ranch skeptics in this. And it's, I actually find it kind of funny. And even like Mick, and I think Mick's going to come on your show too, right? Or you're going to talk to Mick West. So I even find him funny. I even find him funny because nobody's claiming anything on the show. No one's like, oh my God, it's aliens. No. So which really, it's just kind of funny that people get all up in arms like, oh my God, they're faking it, or they're not doing science, or they're not. Okay, then what is it that they're doing? They're doing pseudoscience. Oh, really? Okay. And so what are the results that what are they claiming is coming out of this? Well, it's inconclusive. Oh, so no one's claiming anything. They're doing experiments and showing you the results and saying, hey, this requires further study.
Yeah.
I mean, has anyone made a definitive claim of anything?
No. And that's one of the best things, is because they'll go, there's stories that there's a UFO underneath the ranch. So we're going to drill here because we did these LiDAR scans and found something under the ground that's not normal. And then they drill and there's water. And they're like, oh, there's a ton of water in this spot, so we're going to go drill in this spot. But they're not, nobody on the show is saying there's a secret base built under.
I know. And it's funny to see. It's funny to see these debunkers or these people saying, show me the data. You are seeing the data. There's tons of data. You just don't like it. You think that people are sitting on some secret, documents of like miniature aliens or something. Like you think that there's something listen, if there's something there, you'll see it as it comes out, in a season, but there's no grand conspiracy of anything. And I'm just so done with the narrative of conspiracy, and that these people think that they know what they're talking about. And I've yet to see anyone of these naysayers.
Yeah.
There's plenty of data. You haven't done anything with it. Show me. I've given people plenty of examples of things that they could do, and no one's done anything. So I don't know what to tell you. You just want to see what you want, and you're not happy with what you're getting. It's not yours.
And I really think that the last thing that you're going to do with the show is not show like something extremely significant. Just be like, oh, we caught this massive.
Of course you're going to see it.
Yeah. Like you want the ratings, the views, and everything. You're not going to hide like a massive big thing that comes out. You're just going to be like, oh yeah, we can't show that.
Oh, no way. Oh my God. Like, come on. It's really funny though. I think I did a show recently with some guy. I don't even know who he was, but he was claiming that the nothing happened before Bigelow was on the ranch or something like that. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, you can say these things, they're not true, but you can keep saying them. And I mean, it just makes you look like, makes you look like you're not doing your research, or that you have a bone to pick. Or I think that he wasn't allowed on the ranch, or he was invited and then he was not invited. And then I think he got angry or something. I don't even know, but the guy's like claiming things that are not true. Like, well, you guys said that. Nobody said anything. There's just saying, hey, listen, this is what's going on. Here's what you look at it. Brandon will eventually get to a point, I'm sure, when it's feasible to publish the information that they have. But even that, like, there's information published already. Go to the website, see some of the equipment that's used. Go research the equipment, find out where it does and doesn't work, what it does and doesn't measure. Then do some research on your own, because just because you're not getting images or videos of stuff doesn't mean that it's not there. It drives me nuts, but anyway, that's one of those, like, that really bothers me sometimes. I get annoyed with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially when these people don't know what they're talking about.
Like, yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that you can't. It takes time to do a peer-reviewed paper.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to do that, you can't just put it out there and say, this is scientific fact without it being peer-reviewed. And you have to go through that whole process of peers reviewing it, and they try to replicate the study or whatever was done. It's not an instant thing.
Right. And I don't even know I don't know, like in some cases there's no replication. Some cases it's just you could be reviewing the meta-analysis of it and saying, hey, your techniques are wrong, or hey, this was done inaccurately, or this wasn't correct because you use this methodology and not this one. Like, there's plenty of other ways that things can be validated or invalidated. But a lot of times peer review is just to say, hey, the science behind this or the method used behind this is sound. That's there's a lot to it. That's a big piece of it. And a lot of stuff gets kicked back for, gets rejected and says needs more work because of that reason. So I don't know, I just find it interesting to me that, like, there's a lot of people that are, quote unquote experts, or they think that they understand. And most of the time they're making themselves look like, ooh, it's kind of cringy.
Yeah.
But whatever. Hey, listen, I have no problem talking to these people. I talk to whoever wants to talk. That's me.
Yeah, and that's great. I found after I moved to this small, tiny town I'm in, is that part of the reason why I wanted to start the podcast was because who do I talk to about this stuff? I live in a town of like 4,000 people. Oh, wow. If I start going around talking about UFOs and aliens and stuff, I'm going to be the crazy guy in the corner waving a sign saying the end is nigh.
You're not that guy already? They don't think you're that guy yet?
No, I'm the jackass who drives around in the Mercedes.
Nice.
They're like, who's that idiot driving that Mercedes E-Class around here? Why? And I got a big beard and I wear cowboy boots and I got a handgun on my side, and they're just like, what is going on?
This does not fit. What is he doing? He knows something.
He knows something's up. He works for the government.
So in Kansas, are there any hotspots near you that you've kind of gone to look at or explored, or?
I've seen 3 UFOs in the immediate 10-mile radius from where I'm at. There are a couple areas that are supposedly haunted. I'm probably going to go check those out, see if they're not when it's 20 degrees outside, but when it gets warmer, I'll go and check those out and see kind of what's going on there. I need to get a tri-band EMF detector, because like you guys use on the show, they use a tri-band detector. And what you see on every ghost hunting show is they're using those little $12 EMF detectors. Well, those are only dual band. So you can't get an actual accurate reading from an EMF field with only 2 probes. So you're supposed to actually turn it while you're doing it to get an accurate reading. But if you have a tri-band, you can get an accurate reading without waving it all around everywhere. And it's more accurate data. Okay.
I mean, so what is your quest? Like, what are you looking for? Like, what drew you to this? So tell me about, like, why you're, what got you interested
in UFOs as a whole? So when I was like little, probably like 7 or 8 years old, my mom told me she saw a UFO one time. And I was like, okay. Didn't really think about it. And then X-Files came out. And like anybody who was, X-Files came out in the 90s. So I was 6 years old.
Okay.
When 6 or 7, when X-Files came out. So I'm watching this, probably a show that a 7-year-old shouldn't watch. And just like, oh my God. And then I started reading UFO books in the library, and I just kind of excelled from there.
Okay. Nice.
And then I went to White Sands, New Mexico when I was in the Army and saw a lot of weird stuff out there.
Well, there's a lot of weird stuff out there.
Yeah.
So in Kansas now, are there any military bases near you?
There's a Air National Guard base about 45 minutes or so from here, but they have F-16s and AC-130s. Okay. You hear those things freaking 10 miles away, flying around.
There's what I have not found recently. I mean, there's a few that I talk to and trying to do stuff with, but there's very few people who are actually out there looking or hunting or doing anything. The vast majority, I'd say 98% of people that are interested in this, in UFOs or whatever, they Google a lot. They read other people's posts of stuff. Yeah. But no one actually does any science or research on anything that I've no broad generalizations there, not nobody, but I mean, there are very few that do. The vast majority are all using the same recycled stuff and saying the same things over and over. Someone like that, like you're in Kansas, man, like, I don't know how many people are out there and doing any kind of sky watching or looking at this, looking for this. But
yeah, I don't think there's anybody looking for anything like this, but they're like, I can go maybe 5 miles out from where I'm at right now, look up in the sky at night, and it is pitch black. Wow. You see everything. So I've got a telescope now. I got to get an adapter to put my phone on it so that I can record what I'm doing. And I'll be recording the night sky. If I see something that moves, I'll just point the telescope at it. And if it's a plane, it's a plane. If it's something weird, it's something weird. And I'll post it to Twitter and my YouTube page. Yes.
I know there's plenty of software out there that can detect when things are moving in the sky. Just like having a camera in the sky, like something would flash. I mean, you can, I know it's out there technically. Yeah. It's all open source. Most of the stuff is open source. I mean, GitHub is a huge place for, finding any kind of software. But you can, there's tons and tons of stuff. It's just a matter of digging and finding it.
That's probably the difficult part if you don't know where to look or how to look for stuff. But if you just start Googling and start doing your own research, which I know is hard for a lot of people to just do your own research, you'll actually learn things. And it's a surprising thing.
I recommend to people to get out of the Google bubble. There's plenty of other search engines to use. Yandex has been one of the most effective for me in finding info in the OSINT, the open source intelligence stuff. Communities, like that is a big one because it truly gets you right outside of the Google world. And funny enough, it's from Russia.
Of course it is. Yeah,
of course it is, right? But then there are other ones. Gabiru is another one, or Jabiru. I could be saying it wrong. Gabiru. There's a bunch of different ones, and you'd be surprised at the info that's out there. And that's on the surface web. That's not even going under, underneath it all into dark web stuff, or deep web stuff, I should say. Yeah. Not dark, but the deep web. But these, there's just so many things that you can find that's one of the big things that I do. I still, not just on Twitter, but just looking for new show ideas, new people. And I try to make a point, it takes me a while to get back, and I apologize about that, but it's like I try to make a point to make sure that everyone wants to be heard, everyone wants to talk, everyone's got something to say, and hey, I want to hear it. If I can get it, if I can, I will.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I noticed about you is I'll get a notification just because we follow each other on Twitter saying TJ Allard is speaking. I'm like, oh. And it's could be NFTs,
right? I do random stuff.
Yeah, you're like all over the place, and I'm like, this dude is really looking at everything that he can.
I try to, and I can't. I don't claim to be an expert on anything. People have a big misconception of me that I think I'm a know-it-all or something. It's like, no, I don't. I think that one of the NFT ones, I'm trying to learn about NFTs. Come join the conversation or something like that. I don't know. I just need to know a broad generalization, or I need to know a broad strokes of things. and then at least I understand it enough where I can try to find. Oh, do you see the lights flickering? I was telling you, we're in the middle of a storm right now.
Yeah.
In Buffalo, and I know I've got a bad feeling our power is going to go out, but yeah, I don't have a generator here yet.
Oh.
But the what I'm saying is, like, I'll try to get a broad understanding of things, and then understand it enough where I will be able to find the right people in the world that do know the stuff. So it's kind of like, if you're trying to learn about cars or something, you're like, okay, you go into the car communities and then you try to find like the alphas or whatever in that community. And I don't, alphas maybe not, but there's so many negative connotations to that. You try to find the marks, the ringers in that community, and you find the ringers in the community, and it's like, okay, these are the ones that people follow in that community. Let's hear what they have to say. And then you can slowly reach out. Okay, well, this guy talks about American cars. This one talks about Japanese cars. This one talks about electric cars. Hey, I'm interested in electric and tech cars, so let's go that way. And so that's kind of how that's my process, right? So if you see me talking about, what was it once I was looking at like collectibles or something. I was looking for something called a thing detectives. I was looking for. I had some crazy show ideas, and so I'm looking for, or bounty hunters was another one I was just recently doing. And it's like I need to get into the bounty hunter group or those communities, and then see like who emerges out of those groups as the ones who are in the know, and then find the guys who do the podcasts on those channels and those groups, and then that's kind of how I dig.
Right. That's probably a really good. Well, I mean, obviously it works for you, but
well, I'm trying, man. It's hard.
It's
a hard road because a lot of people don't want to do TV because there's a big time commitment. That it's hard for people to understand. It's not like this where we just shoot something, we talk, it's on, done.
Yeah.
You got to shoot for 3 months, 4 months, and then go into post-production, and then it airs a year later or half a year later.
Yeah, that's like what I was saying with people don't know how hard it is. Like, I was a bit dumb about it when I first started. I was like, I got a program to edit videos, and I was like, I'm going to do a top 5 scary videos, but put kind of a comedic twist on it and kind of make fun of what's going on. It's like, how hard can it be? And then it took me 4 hours to do a 12-minute video. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. This cannot be real. Yeah. But so that doesn't take me that long anymore. It takes me probably like 3 hours now because I know what I'm doing with the software. But at first,
So first I saw somebody say something. Yes, there is a storm in Buffalo. I wonder how bad it is right now.
Enzo.
But somebody wrote. I saw on somewhere some not influencer, content creator, and they mentioned, hey guys, and they mentioned, and I don't want to take credit for it because it wasn't my line, and I never thought of it this way, but they said something like, to make a 10-minute video, you just record 20-second clips like 50 times or whatever the math works out. Yeah. I was like, wow, I never really thought of it like that. Like, instead of trying to edit or whatever, just script what you're going to say for those 10 or 20 seconds, say it, stop the video, whatever, and then do your next piece and your next piece. I was like, man, that is a really smart way to look at it, to cut down your production time or your the post-production work. Right. If you can just string 20-second clips together, that's awesome. That's a way better way to look at it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what like TikTok basically is, or whatever. They
pretty much
record. I'm going to do this. Pause. Go over here. Do it again. Pause. So
there's a paranormal investigator who travels the country. He's Franco TV is the name of his channel. Okay. He edits his videos in his car while he the next day. And then post them. This dude is in, between traveling and everything. I look at his channel and I'm like, dude, how do you go to all these places? Do this he's got a few cameras, puts it in his laptop, and then uses like a mobile hotspot or
awesome
the freaking whatever hotels he's at. That. And he uploads them.
I love that, man. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the new thing though, is to just go out there and just do it.
That's it. But there's very few. I've not heard of this. Is he a big? Does he have a lot of?
He has. I think he is over. I know he's close to. Let me just on my phone. So my.
Oh no worries, man. No worries. That's fine. I what I find amazing is like, they're very rarely these guys. There's not a lot of people that are out there doing it.
No, there's not.
I can't hear. I'm getting static in my headset right now. No, it's not you. I think it's my power.
Oh, it's the UFOs.
Yeah, right.
They're coming for you.
I think they're done with me.
They're like, yeah, we don't want to talk to him anymore.
Nope.
He's got something like 70 or 80,000 subscribers.
Okay. Hey, that's a you could get a groundswell going with that. I mean, that's a big enough following.
Yeah, I haven't looked at his subscriber count in a while. He's up to 266,000.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, like, so when this is where TV falters because the budgets that are required to do a TV show it's a lot of money because of the personnel needed. If you can do it like this with this, hardcore production, do it on your own, keep your costs down, stay light, and that's nuts, man. That is insane, and that's what's ruining traditional TV in a way.
Right.
So, I mean, it's different, right? You don't get you're not going to do scripted stuff that way.
No, I don't think you could do scripted stuff that way. Just because, I mean, you got your lighting people and everything else that you have to do.
I mean, they've tried. There are people who do stuff like that, but it's not. I mean, look, it's still huge budgets to do because unions are involved, and not so much in unscripted, but for scripted stuff. But unscripted, I feel like it needs to go more like the YouTube model. Like that's the way. Otherwise, it's going to eventually die. You just can't compete.
The biggest thing, I think, when you compare like a YouTube channel to a television show is he can have like 2 or 3 episodes or whatever you want to call it where he doesn't get 150,000 views and nobody's going to tell him, okay, shut it down.
Right.
Shut it down.
Doesn't matter.
Your viewership has tanked. Shut it down.
Yep. It doesn't matter. If he doesn't care, and is he doing it to make a living?
Yeah, he self-funds all of it, and
that's awesome. If you can afford to do that, then he's not the only danger with all of that has to do with you're beholden to the platform.
Right.
That's the biggest problem, because if the platform all of a sudden goes away or decides that and this was a big concern of mine when a lot of the people were talking about conspiracy stuff and how they're cracking down on conspiracy. And I think like on Twitter in particular, I think I've been shadow banned or was at a time because I think that any talk about UFO stuff was being grouped into conspiracy. Right. And so then you get throttled because you're spreading conspiracy. And it's unfortunate that, that it goes that way. But if a platform decides he's conspiracy stuff or decides he's pushing fake stuff because he's talking about ghosts, then he's done. And that's a concern.
Well, I think the good thing is with the new government office in the Pentagon with UFOs is now you're going to see more media outlets covering this. And the more media outlets, the more CNN or Fox News, and it doesn't matter who you like, but the more of them that cover this and talk about it, the more mainstream it becomes. The more you can have a show where you talk about this and not, as long as you're not going, Nazi aliens live in the Antarctic and the moon is hollow and, off the wall crazy shit.
Right.
You're good.
Yeah. You'll at least get some traction. Yeah. I think the way that it gets to mainstream. So then to me, I don't consider the corporate news stuff mainstream anymore. Right. Because I've done this by just using numbers, right? Fringe. Yeah. They're more fringe than anything. You got a guy getting 150,000 views on a video you were saying, or whatever he gets for viewership. That's almost equivalent to a daytime news program on one of the main, not all of them, but some of them that we consider mainstream. Yeah. But I think the way it becomes more mainstream is stuff like this, where you got to get a lot of like-minded individuals talking about stuff, but in different walks of life. And it has to become like a Venn diagram of, you have people in the gaming community and in this tech community and in computers and in architecture and all of these people, all of them. And in the middle is this unknown topic. That's how I think you can get this to be more mainstream. And it is. I think right now there's no more taboo on it. Unless you go where you said.
Yes, unless you're where I'm at, then you just kind of don't talk about it as loudly. But is
it really though? Like the Antarctic stuff, right? The Nazis in Antarctica or whatever. Like, I don't care about the Nazi part of it, but the Antarctica part of it's very interesting because we had military actions or whatever you call them, operations that went down there for these reasons, looking for stuff. You could pepper it with Nazis or whatever the heck else you want, or gray aliens. I don't care, but the fact is, we went to Antarctica because we thought that there was something going on, or at least from what I understand, right? At least from the history that I understand.
Yeah, the problem is when the government does something like that, and then they either deny it or try to bury it. That is how these conspiracy theories begin in the first place.
Yeah,
because if you just go, yes, we did this, we went out there for a training exercise for extreme cold weather to see how our equipment works.
Yeah.
End of story. Right. There's still going to be people who are going to be like, no, there's aliens. They're looking for aliens in the Arctic or the hollow earth. And
yes, of course, it's always going to be there, right? Because it's sexy and it's not disprovable.
Right. Because what are you going to do? Go down to Antarctica with a camera, film it? No, you're going to get eaten by a sea lion or something.
Right. But it's not disprovable. And this is one of the things. So if the way that this also becomes more popular is if it gets the clicks, if it's monetized, if these stories are monetized, it happened last year in June, like the summertime when everything was happening.
Yeah.
It was here and then it was gone because other stuff was probably monetized. The algorithms online where the traffic was finding that these were getting more hits than these. Talk about COVID was getting more hits than talk about UFOs. So they're going to keep leaning toward the one that was getting hits.
Yeah,
and that's the way it works.
Yeah, whatever is the biggest interest at the time, that's what gets pushed, and then over time it kind of dies off, and then something else comes up, and now that's the big topic, and it's just a revolving cycle of whatever.
Sorry,
it's okay.
Phone scare me. So I don't know. I mean, I think this is at a good point right now. The topic, and I'm going to keep trying to push. Like I have some stuff we're working on, and I've said in the past, like I think the next step to this is tangible things. And so it's funny that you're saying that they have tangible things. I'm like, I remember I was just saying that it has to go that way. So it's interesting. I have to go and look at this.
It's a very interesting article, and I would say that as this comes more to light, people are going to start asking more questions. And it's not just going to be the UFO people. It's going to be your average, I go to work, I come home, I watch the news, I eat dinner. They're going to start asking. And then I think what's going to happen is that veil is going to start to unravel over the past 70 years. Because eventually it's going to click in people's heads. Hey, is this new? When did this start? And then the dominoes will start falling, and hopefully that's before I'm 60.
No, I don't. I personally so my take on all of this, and again, I'm anti-conspiracy theorist, I guess how you'd say it.
Yeah.
So I don't believe the grand conspiracy of the government withholding it because they have all the secret knowledge. I think that it's not that it's secret. It's just that, well, it is secret, but it's not for these nefarious reasons.
Right.
It's the same as anything. Everything is about defense. Everything is about why do you think you need to know? This is the thing that bothers me with the ranch. Like, what gives you the right to think you deserve to know?
Yeah.
I had people I was talking to, I remember on the Skinwalker journey, trying to get that going. Yeah. I remember people saying they deserve to go on the ranch, or they should be there. And it's, to me, I'm like, or they deserve the data, right? That's another one. To me, that's akin to someone being a fan of, like, say, I don't know, something else like that you're thinking like Playboy magazine, right? Yeah. I love Playboy magazine and I love the mansion. I need to go there. I deserve to go there.
You're right.
No, you're
that's not how it works.
That's not how it works. You're a fan. Like, I get it. Yes, you wish. What do you bring to the table? What do you bring? You know, everyone could be a Googling armchair Googler, right? Like, what expertise or what are you offering that's going to help push that forward, or what's going to make you valuable to them?
Yeah.
And you know, you got to find your thing that's going to help you. Like, what do you know? What do you do? Like that's where you get access. That's how you take, you know, how you get into these quote unquote secret places.
Yeah. And it's funny because people think that they have that right to know, and then Skinwalker Ranch is not the safest place to be.
Right.
For just some normal person to come walking around and be like, oh, I'm going to start poking around at things and you know, something seriously bad could happen to you. It's like, that's why you don't go into the lion pen at the zoo. I'm a big fan of lions. Can I jump in there with them?
Right. Like, I think I was reading an article about these boxers. There's these, this one boxing guy who has, like, currently, like Deontay Wilder, he has like the most incredible punch in all of boxing history, supposedly, right? Yeah. And people keep contacting his manager to say, hey, I'll pay him $500,000 to punch me in the face. Like, wait, what? You can go and look it up. Like, there are people who they had to make public statements like, we won't let him punch somebody.
Yeah.
And it's people like, oh, you know, it's not that bad. You know, all these tough guys behind that computer, and I'll give him this much money. Well, first off, he doesn't need the money. So no. And they're like, well, he's afraid because maybe he won't knock somebody out. No, he doesn't care. Like, right. And he doesn't need the money. So what are you offering him? Like, why would he want to punch you?
Yeah. Why would you want somebody like that that's like people saying, for $1 million, would you let Mike Tyson in his prime uppercut you? No.
Well, listen, I don't care. I don't care. But you know what? Why would Mike Tyson? What about Mike Tyson? What does he care? Like, in the real world.
Mike Tyson in his prime probably would have just punched whoever the hell he wanted.
Yeah, right. And I think he did, right?
Yeah. There's a couple people who maybe they messed with his pigeons or something. I don't know.
It's him and Tesla.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's a lot there where you know, the demanding of data and stuff like that, I just I find really funny. And I know we're all over the place, and that's fine. I find like the non sequitur is kind of fun.
I think these are the best conversations. But if I sat here and hounded you about Skinwalker Ranch and UFOs for an hour, I would feel like a robot. Like, so it was funny because last night my wife goes, are you gonna like write out an outline for the interview and like for having them on your show and like questions that you want to ask? I'm like, no, it's all off the cuff.
Yeah.
Best way to have a natural conversation.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I might be totally wrong.
Listen, I learned that the hard way when I first started trying to do these podcasts when we did season 1 of Skinwalker, and I was doing this thing with Jason and Maureen. Jason McCullen. I always mess up his last name. He's going to kill me. And Maureen Ellsbury. But Jason, you know, I would write up these things, these like outlines and stuff, like I was doing a TV show. And I know he was like thinking like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this? Like, no, we just talk. And so I would have like Google documents, and I was bringing on the cast from the show, right? I was bringing on Eric or Dragon or whoever to talk about the episodes. And it's just funny because he would be like I have these like 2 or 3 page documents. Like, dude, what are you doing? This isn't how you, this isn't. And I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, I have to produce this like you produce a show.
Right.
Podcasting is very different. And it's more natural like this. And I kind of enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So I like it. It's fun.
I told myself if at any point in history in the future, I ever run into Dragon, I'm going to introduce myself as Tony. And then when he introduces himself as Dragon, I'm going to say, oh, we're using our made up names. I'm bottled water. I'm going to steal the line from the Avengers because it's just perfect.
Oh, we're using our made up names. Doctor Strange. I love that line, man. That's a great line.
Yeah, it is. Oh God, I love that movie.
Yeah. Well, have you seen any of the new ones recently?
I missed Shang-Chi.
Okay.
I still gotta watch that. We did just watch what just came out in Eternals.
Okay, I didn't see Eternals yet.
That was it was good. It was long.
Okay.
It was very long. I'm really excited for Spider-Man to come out.
Mm-hmm. Spider-Man's going to be awesome. My son's excited about Spider-Man. He is loving Shang-Chi. He loves it. We've watched that movie probably half a dozen times.
Really?
Shang-Chi, yeah. I swear we got it in the theater. We went to the theater. It's the first movie I've seen in the theater in forever.
Really?
Yeah. And God, I couldn't tell you last time I went to the theater. But we've watched Shang-Chi a number of times already. He loves it.
Is it on the Disney Plus yet?
I forgot where we were watching, how we were watching it on TV. It's one of the over the top channels. I think it was maybe Disney Plus. I think it's Disney Plus.
Yeah. Well, my TV is still a paperweight because the people who moved us lost. It's a Samsung QLED.
Okay.
And Samsung has this One Connect box that the TV connects to that, and then you plug everything into that box in your entertainment center. So it's not, you don't have 20 cables going up to the back of the TV.
Sure. That sounds cool.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they lost that cable.
It's not like just a regular HDMI cable.
No, it has to be a special cable. And
oh my God.
I ordered it off of Amazon, and it was the only one that was on there because there's different ones for the different types of LED TVs they have. And it's coming from China, and I ordered it over a month ago, and it's not supposed to be here until around December 30th.
That's insane. Why can't there be one cable to rule them all? I am so sick of the cable. I have boxes. If you could see, I have labels. I have boxes of different cables from every iteration of USB to HDMI to micro this, Mac, and it just box, and I can't throw them away because I feel like someday when the apocalypse hits, somebody's going to need an RCA cable with a red blue on it, and I'm going to have it. Or someone's going to need a connector for a Canon camera to charge a battery, the last battery left on the planet to turn a light on, and I'm going to have the cable.
There's cable. I've got cables everywhere. The old Android connectors, the new ones, and there's iPhones cables around here, and I'm just like, oh man.
So for the longest time, I was buying the adapters, right? The adapters.
Yeah.
I was resisting to buy the cables, and I would just buy adapters first, and then eventually start buying the cables. But then, just as I would buy the cables, and those cables would no longer be used, and they'd change to something new. And so then I'm like, well, shoot, now I got to buy the new thing because there's no adapter to it, and then you buy the new one, and then they get the adapters for those, and then that gets obsolete and whatever. And so I also do this. So I shrink wrap everything, or I have this type of tape. When you pull the tape, and then you stretch the tape out to then tape it, and then as you let it go, it hardens. It's really cool. But I do that, or I shrink wrap all of the connectors on my cables because I don't know. I guess I'm like Lou Ferrigno with cables. Like I break them all the time. But like this, I shrink wrap them all. And so what I'll do is like a lot of these, you can't get the shrink wrap around some of the wider portions. So my hack is to take a pair of scissors, literally, and as you push it down the scissors, you can heat it just enough. If you heat too much, then it'll rip.
Yeah.
But if you heat it just enough, you can get it all the way down to the wide enough part of the scissors. And then you can quickly take the cable and go and transfer it here and then shrink wrap it. So listen, I've taken a lot of time to do this stuff, man, because I would break so many cables and stuff. So I'm such a nerd. I am a total nerd, man.
You did start off in video games, so
I did. And I was saying, where was I? I pulled out my controller the other day I had from Minecraft, and I've been playing with this. A buddy of mine worked on Stadia, and so I got an old Stadia he sent me this last year, and it works with Chromecast. Yeah. And I have a free account, and I have I've never once played it. And I always feel bad, and so I feel like I was thinking I was going to connect with them over the holidays and stuff. And I'm like, shoot, I should probably really get this thing on and try it at least. Yeah, I've had it for like over a year now. He sent it. I was like, man, I should probably do something. I don't know if you've ever seen these. The controllers are cool. It's an old concept that I'm surprised it took them this long for someone to do it, and it didn't work. It failed miserably.
Right. Talking about Stadia.
Yeah.
Well, I would think there'd be some bandwidth issues depending on where the users are. Because, like, if you don't have fiber optic, I mean, if you can't do a lot of things.
So I remember this conversation going way back, and a lot of it. So there are the fiber optic, the super speed isn't necessary all the time if you can render the stuff on your end. And if you're not transmitting the entire image on a game, then it can. And if you're just, it's kind of someone had explained it to me. It's like you're sending the packets of coordinates and everything's rendering on your side. That was like in the early days of game broadcasting. That was one of the biggest costs, was the bandwidth cost. Right. And so one of the hacks around it was, so if you download the game you're going to watch, like say it was Unreal Tournament, you download Unreal Tournament. So the engine is running on your machine, and all you're receiving are kilobytes of data, not like megs and megs. You're just receiving it, and it's moving stuff on your screen. I feel like I'm sure that's the tech they use, or they have something way beyond that now. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, if you're gaming like at an awesome game and you're getting your butt kicked because you have
you're lagging and you're
lagging
doing this.
Do you play games now?
I do. I would be playing them more if my TV worked. So right now I'm playing World of Warships on my gaming laptop that I use for editing videos and stuff. But I PlayStation 4, not 5. Can't find one of those.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a Xbox X for my son for Christmas and can't find one.
Can't find anything.
And if I did the other day, I had someone sent me a tracker that gives you an alert, and I was shocked. But then the only way you could get it was on like Walmart Plus, and you have to buy a subscription to Walmart Plus. It's like, wait a second, so you can't just go to Walmart? No, now you have to have it's like a membership thing, and only the members could buy the system. I'm like, so you want another couple $100 to buy a system that's already way super expensive? Yeah. Like now it becomes a $700-800 piece of equipment, and it's just a gaming.
It's just a gaming console. It sits there, you watch movies on it and everything. But
so I got this last year. I ordered this. So this little thing, it fits on your controller, right? And then it holds your phone.
Okay, so you can play your mobile games.
Yeah, you can play games like this on your phone.
Yeah,
and it works pretty damn well for like. Certainly, I didn't use it as much as I would have liked to, but it definitely, because some of the phone games are really cool. Like you could have played Call of Duty, I think, for a short period, and in Fortnite you could have played on your phone for a while.
And then they have PUBG.
Yeah,
a lot of people play PUBG, and I tried playing it, and I'm just like, my hands are too big for my phone, and I'm just.
Well, that's why you get something like this. You can use the actual controller.
Yeah,
and
that's what I need to do.
Oh my gosh, I hear my son yelling downstairs. I think he's playing games with his cousins. I told him I was going to play with him after we talked, and I can.
Well, we are pushing that 1 hour.
All right.
I did not that I want the conversation to end, but I got to
go to
Christmas party and.
I should know. I told him I was going to go play tonight with him. So after his game, because I don't get to spend a lot of time with him. He's not really home all the time. Kids are busy these days, man.
They're always doing something.
Yes. Yeah, with school and sports and music lessons and everything else. So I'm going to try to spend as much time as I can with him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you have kids?
I have a dog.
Oh. And scene.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. I'm gonna throw you backstage in the show, and then I'll see you in a second.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, everybody, that marks the end of episode 2. Thank you all for coming. Had a great time talking to TJ. Such a great opportunity for him to come on the show. Thank you, everybody who came in to watch. If you missed it live, eventually you're going to start realizing that I do these shows, and I will see everybody probably on Twitter in like an hour.